Hey Soul Babes, welcome to the Essence Podcast. I'm your host, Riss, and in this podcast, I love to dive into the worlds of holistic wellness, creativity, and spirituality. You can see me as your woo-woo bestie here to help you gain the tools you need to unlock what some might label Pandora's box, but in reality, this box is where your truest, authentic self resides. It is where your divine essence shines brightly. This podcast is all about releasing limiting beliefs, rewriting old stories, and creating a life that truly reflects who you are within. Together, we'll explore what it means to live authentically, unapologetically, and in alignment with your soul's purpose. And in this week's episode, I am especially excited because not only do I get to share a space with a fellow healer, but we also pretty much share the same name. Rissa Vibes is a goddess who illuminates her healing energy through her creativity. As a singer and a healer, her music helps you feel lighter, inspires growth, and creates a vibe that makes room for healing and transformation. Her latest album, Trap Alchemist, is pure magic, featuring vibey tracks like Contemplating and Hush, and also Money Goddess, which are three of my personal favorites. Ultimately, Rissa Vibes music isn't just something you listen to, it's something you experience on a deep and soulful level. So grab your tea, your crystals, and get comfy as we explore her journey, her music, and the energy healing she brings to the world. In your divine essence you shine. In your divine essence you thrive. I'm your host Riss, and you're listening to Essence Podcast. Welcome, Rissa Vibes, to the Essence Podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. This is so fun. I just love the synchronistic aspect of all of this with our names and with the way that you're presenting this support for the community and just what I believe in as well. And it feels so aligned. So I'm so glad to be here.
I want to start off with just asking, how are you today? How's life? How's it going?
I'm doing so good. I'm feeling so grateful. I've been really inspired lately and just creating a lot of new foundation for 2025 and, just feeling really grateful lately. How are you?
I've been doing pretty well. I just started a new job, so
nice.
I wanted to, I've already went to college, I majored in film and television and I got my bachelor's in that. But then I switched directions to now become a healer and to indulge in my own creativity. And now I am a barista. So it's funny because it's like, at this point in my life, I'm more of like, okay, what else do I want to have up my sleeve? Like, what else can I learn? And it's not even really about what the status is or like what it entitles. It's more of like, is it going to be something I want to like enjoy and indulge in? And barista has always been on the list. And my vision that I see in my future is curating and making a whole building that is dedicated to meditation and cafe. So like a fusion of both. And so I'm like using this barista experience. It's like a mom and pop shop. So I'm using this to like really help me bring any tools with me that I need to open my own. So that's been my life I love that. So far.
That's so fun. Yeah, that's very synchronistic because I'm working on a project with some friends where we're putting together a cafe that's like a spiritual cafe. Oh. So it's literally very similar. Yeah, it's going to be so fun. So maybe when you're ready to open yours, we can collab and stuff. That'll be super fun.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that inspires me to continue on because I was also in a vibe too with my friends where we're collabing on a few ideas. But we all live in different places, so it's kind of like hard to solidify and keep track of the like actual planning we were doing. So I applaud you for taking on those steps with your friends, and I want to go visit yours too. We can definitely like collab on a few things in the future.
We'll have some tea or coffee or cacao cheers for sure.
Oh yes,
at both of our places.
Love it. I did want to ask, what is your rising, your sun, and your moon?
Yes. Okay, so I am a Gemini fully, but not all the way. I am a double Gemini. But I am like so true to the Gemini energy. I'm a sun Gemini and rising Gemini, and then I have a Cancer moon. So not too far off in the
Yeah.
next direction. I have my Cancer moon. So yeah, I'm very airy, very channel access of forward, and then I also
Yeah.
have this very emotional, nurturing, like feminine energy too with the Cancer moon. What are you?
Rising Scorpio, a
Nice.
Capricorn sun, and a
Ooh.
Pisces moon.
Nice. I love a Pisces moon. I have a lot of girlfriends that are Pisces moons.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of my witchy girlfriends are Pisces moon.
I love that. So let's get into more of your creativity. First, I want to start off with just you sharing your journey and how you came
Absolutely.
to like make music and use the healing and music together as well as the services.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for asking. Yeah, so I'll give you kind of like in a nutshell because it goes very deep
Of
and can
course.
be take forever, and I'm a talker. So, um double Gemini. But really I had intuitive gifts very strong when I was a kid. As early as I can remember, like 4 or 5 years old, I was like seeing energy, seeing spirits, passed on loved ones would come visit me by my bedside, all sorts of really paranormal experiences. And that proceeded throughout my childhood. And, I was raised Christian and I still, love a lot of the Christian values. I just am more spiritual. I feel like I've evolved beyond Christianity into more esoteric and still some of those roots. But I would always be told to like pray about it. And then the angels would talk to me more. And it was like just making it more and more intense. And so, right around 12 years old, I had a really intense experience where I was at a Girl Scout event, and it was like the middle of the night. We were all sleeping in this kind of room for this camp that we were in. And I woke up and I could see everybody's guardian angels like hovering over them. And it was so intense. It was like a golden light of like moving figures, angelic figures. And it freaked me out. I was like 12 at the time. And I was like, okay, this is not my imagination. This is definitely real. Like, I
Wow.
don't know what to do with this. And so I pretty much just prayed for it to go away. And it did. It didn't really come back in that strength again until I was older. And after I kind of had a dark night of the soul with addiction and trauma with my mom and my family dynamics and a lot of just very traumatizing experiences. Went through a dark night of the soul with that and addiction to opiates, and then came out of that, got sober and got clean from opiates. And then kind of all of my gifts came back really intensely, which manifested into a lot of anxiety because I didn't know how to process what was going on. And so I tried everything, like anti-anxiety meds, therapy, all sorts of stuff. Nothing was working. And I had a friend whose mother was a channel and an oracle. And my friend was like, she gets messages for people. Maybe since nothing else is working, you could go see her and she'll have an answer for you. And at that time, I was still very like, I felt like it might be taboo. Like that was a little too woo-woo for me. I was like, I don't know. But I was so in need of a answer. And so I went to her and she pretty much told me my whole life story. And she's like, you've had this gift forever. Like you've been denying it for your whole life. And it's a big part of your purpose. And the anxiety you have is a manifestation of not being able to process all the information you're getting intuitively. And so she gave me my first deck of oracle cards. And she's like, take these, pull a card every time you're anxious. And then you'll get a message as to why you're anxious and you'll be able to translate some of the intuition you're getting. And I did that and the anxiety started to go away and eventually went away completely within like a week. It was wild.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then the floodgates opened. All my gifts came back and I just totally went into this crazy boot camp. I call it like a spiritual boot camp where I learned about meditation, crystals, breath work, visualization, manifestation, yoga, channeling. And like, I felt like my spirit guides were just taking me through these like master courses with just my relationship with them, learning all these things and actually tapping into the power of them. And so, pretty soon after that, Spirit was like, you're meant to guide people with your intuition. You're meant to give readings. You're meant to do energy work. You're meant to hold classes and retreats and programs. And at the time, I had just graduated with my psychology degree because that's what I thought I was going to be doing as my profession, be a psychologist, because I always had a knack for it and people would always open up to me. And I always loved, kind of feeling into what they needed for healing. I didn't know that at the time that was my intuition really taking over. So Spirit was like, this is what you're meant to do. And so I started doing that and servicing clients. And obviously the music was always a big part of my life as well, just in my processing and kind of therapy through my experiences and my creative expression. But that was always my biggest dream, is like be a singer and a songwriter. But Spirit kind of brought me into actually providing my music and expressing it after I had activated all this spiritual knowledge. And so now it's kind of all come together in this beautiful expression and soul purpose.
Isn't it funny how like when you're not awake yet, like you're awakening and then you're like sort of navigating where you said you went as to be a psychologist and you're like, okay, this sort of fits me. So let me just like do that. But then it come to the realization that you had something more that was beyond what everyone knows about or goes to school for. I feel like that's something I totally relate to, is like my film part of like going to school for film. It wasn't really because of film. It was more the creative aspect of being able to like tell these stories or like creating just more of like whatever I felt could come out of it, the imagination and the play. So it's funny in this place of how we tend to like gravitate towards something that may sound like what is for us, but then it like takes us on a whole other journey. And it seems like that's where that, like your life has led you to, where you took the steps of what is expected. And then you get this pivot of going to your boot camp, your spiritual boot camp, to gain all the actual tools that are going to benefit and help you like holistically and spiritually.
Yeah, it was really cool because, I never knew that that's where I was going. Obviously, like so many of us, we don't know. And I think there's such power in embracing the unknown and leaning in, because Spirit has such a plan for us that we could never fathom, and it's so beautiful when we get to like the inner child play and be curious and be open and explorative of what Spirit has in store for us that we couldn't even imagine for ourselves. That's often so much better than what we could write up for ourselves,
Oh, for
and
sure.
That's a big thing that I love to teach my clients. And, I've got a 6-month program called Intuitive Luminary, which is all about tapping in really, really deeply to your intuition and accessing your channel and making a career out of it if you want, or, becoming an artist or whatever you want to do. But then I'm really excited. I've got a 6-week course that I'm putting together right now that I'll be launching in 2025, January or February, where I'm kind of consolidating a lot of that into a 6-week course and helping people just start to align and start to introduce themselves to their intuition and the power of it and what it can do for their lives and how it can break them of, traps in their life that are really illusions, and help them to feel liberated and release fear and step into better discernment and decision making and just confidence in self. Yeah, so it's super exciting.
Oh, yeah. This is something you practice on a daily. It's something that you embody fully. So I feel like that's a bonus when people are getting that firsthand example of like the life that they can live and the life that is meant for them. I'm in the works of making my book. I am curious to know, like, for yourself, what were the steps you took to like really hone in, like, this is what I'm going to do. And this is a vision I have. What steps did it take to get there? That discipline, like, how did it look for you?
Really, it was exactly what you said, like embodiment first, let me learn my gifts, let me figure out my soul path, and let me heal my wounds, because I knew that by doing that and having my own journey, I would become a master through experience and then could help other people. Because if I'm not doing the work myself and experiencing what kind of blockages come up or resistances come up or fears or doubts or judgments come up or challenges in any way, then I'm doing a disservice to the life aspect of the experience, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can read and take classes about the science or the spiritual science or the psychology of, you know, development in life or spirituality, and read a bunch of books and texts. And that's great. We want that knowledge. But if you're not knowing how to apply it, it's going to be really hard to really coach somebody through it, because when we activate spiritually, there's so many things that happen outside of just meditation and learning how to visualize and, you know, learning about the chakras. Like when these things actually activate and your chakras come online and your channel opens and you're getting messages from spirit, there's a lot of emotional and sometimes physical and psychological things that can happen that you might not be prepared for based on a book you read on how to meditate, right? So I think my biggest thing was just making sure that I create routine where I am tapping into my gifts and I'm doing the work myself to make sure I'm a pure vessel and I'm, you know, in a space of centeredness. And then, you know, whatever that looks like, because honestly, it can change from day to day or different phases of my life. I might wake up and meditate and journal and then go on a run and do yoga one day, or I might go do like a whole hike and kind of connect in a whole different way. And so, you know, really getting to know myself on a deep level helps me to help other people know themselves on a deep level and to kind of address the changes and the evolution that can come up in that way.
Yeah, I hear you. And I understand that because I mean, I think that's where I was kind of like in the beginning, navigating where like the structure is, because I'm a Capricorn. So like there's got to be structure, there's got to be, you know, like some discipline. So I'm starting to get into what feels right and feels good.
Yeah.
It's a good to have structure, but not so much of it, because then it's like maybe that's not what you need today, you know?
Yeah, I always think that because I have a lot of Capricorn placements too. And I always think that when it comes to structure, what I've realized is that because as a double Gemini, like I can definitely go off on tangents and then like totally not have structure. And then it's like a full distraction. I'm not getting anything done. So the structure is important. And so what I've recognized is like, you know, having those little time dedications and commitments, like 2 hours, the first 2 hours I'm awake, I'm going to dedicate towards connecting with self so that the next 2 hours I can dedicate towards connecting to my business or connecting to my creativity, and just having these like blocks of time. Because then when you have the blocks of time, it gives structure. But then in those blocks of time, you can kind of flow with what is most exciting. Okay, I know I'm going to be focusing on myself these 2 hours. What is most exciting for me to do that? Oh, right now I want to meditate, and then I want to write and journal or, you know, visualize. So it gives you a little bit of spaciousness and flow, because I really feel like following your highest excitement, like your heart is your conscious compass. It's your most in tune magnet towards what you're meant to do. So if you can really tune into the excitement that your heart and that magnetism that your heart's pulling you towards in whatever it is you're focusing on for structure, that's always a good process, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love how you're putting it out, that you can still have that structure, but in that structure, there can also be fluidity within it.
Yeah.
And it can, you know, as long as you're in that place and time of within that intention of like it being for your health or your business or your friends, you know, you can still play around with what is meant to be within that little cubicle of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Now with the structure of time, how do you go about with your music? Because you're also with your services, and then you also have like, of course, time with your friends and your personal life and your routines, you know, to take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. How are you also putting in time for music?
With music, it has its own spirit. Like music is like its own entity. And I really feel like it speaks to me at different times. I love to create the space where I make it like a sacred moment where I'm like lighting a candle. I'm tuning into, you know, something in my environment or my experience that's very inspiring or very like intense on my heart. To speak about. And I'm also like kind of connecting with the spirit of the music that wants to come through, because that always wants to come through. It's just whether or not we are in the receptive mode to receive it, and if we've created the space to receive it. So I like to do that. And then also, like, I love writing in the car, like while I'm driving. I have written so many songs while driving, like Gaia, Warrior World. I think Nothing for Us was in the car as well. Like, I've written so many songs in the car. I Am was in the car. And so, yeah, I just naturally have this like connection with like the car and cruising through like and writing music. I don't know what it is. So I honor that too. I'm like, okay, I know that I am really great at writing songs in the car, and it just naturally happens. So anytime I'm like in a little creative block or writer's block, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a long drive somewhere, and I'm just going to let it flow. And that usually works really well too.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. You're like, I am.
Yeah, literally.
I love that. Okay, now I know where some of these songs are going, and I'm gonna be like,
yeah, exactly. I know. It's so funny that it happens that way. It'll just be like randomly a verse will come through, or a hook will come through. And a lot of times it was me driving to Sedona. Like, Gaia was literally like, it woke me up out of my sleep. I was, in a very peaceful, lucid dream sleep. And it was like, wake up, get up, go to Sedona. And I went to Sedona and I wrote Gaia, which was like, wake up, get up, Gaia's calling. So I was like, oh, Gaia literally called me to get in the car, to write this song, to go to Sedona, have this experience. Like, it was really, really cool. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love the connections that you made to create the actual songs.
Yeah.
One of the songs that when I first heard you was the Healers Unite song.
Yes.
I was listening to Londrell, and on his playlist, because I go to like the radio, from an artist or a song, and then it like sends me to like the radio of like other artists and different songs that are similar. And then I came across the Healers Unite song. And when I first heard that song, I just need to tell you that I felt seen. Like, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, the drumming and then the words, and like, we're coming together, like, Healers Unite, And so it felt just like, I just felt my like chest pop up, like, whoa, like this feels like I'm sort of being connected to like other healers through this song. And it helped me feel like not alone as well, because sometimes I feel like I'm still like finding my tribe here in LA, and sort of like navigating through how I can stand true and strong in my healing power. And that song just really had me feel like, whoa, like I know I'm not alone, but sometimes it can feel a bit daunting at times, So that song really just had me feel like, ooh, like it felt very powerful to feel like I can connect through just like somebody else listening to the song maybe at the same time, and like we're having this like energetic moment, so that song is very powerful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I always imagine, like, when I started servicing people with my gifts and my readings and energy work and stuff, I started seeing this like web of light lighting up across the world. And it was these lights that would turn on when they awoke to their power and their soul gifts. And that just stuck in my head. And then, when I wrote Healers Unite, it was actually really funny. Healers Unite was totally impromptu, wasn't even planned, didn't even think about making that song. But because I had written Warrior World and it was such a powerful song, I felt like it needed like an interlude into that song. And so I literally just told my producer, like, hey, I have this idea. I'm just going to like channel this spoken word chant, whatever this is that's coming through right now. Because we were like mixing the album. We were pretty much done with it. I was like, I think something needs to go right before Warrior World. So I'm just going to go in the booth. So he's like, okay. So I went in the booth and I literally just channeled that chant. No music behind me, nothing. And then I was like, okay, didn't expect that. But here we go. This is perfect. This is what I wanted for a little segue into Warrior World. And then Spirit was like, get all of your healer friends, all of your sound healer friends, and just have them come in and make the soundtrack. And so I literally was like, I think I had like 18 sound healers in the studio. And I was actually in Indiana visiting my dad at the time. I wasn't even there physically. I just had them all scheduled the same day, same time. They went into the studio, and I know it was a smorgasbord of craziness. I mean, like, so many, my producer, who was not very woo-woo, was just like, what is going on?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, let's record everything. And so, you know, he recorded everything, and all my friends were like taking videos and selfies and just having the greatest time. There was like kids running around. Like, it was so great. And it really captured this energy of this women's retreat that I was on, that Warrior World was written, kind of inspired by. And it was just so perfect. And so we took all of the sound healing elements, we composed them into something that fit with the chant. And then I came in and added the animal noises, and I was like, we need this here and that here and this here, and let me do a little drum here. And then, you know, the rest is history. And I could not believe it when it blew up the way it did, because it made so much sense. I was like, this is what I've always seen, is this web of light of healers coming together, and this song embodies it, and now it's spreading exactly like, you know, the vision is. So
yeah.
it's so cool.
Oh man, yeah, that one was definitely one I was like, okay, like, who is Rissa Vibes? We share the same name here. Like, there's also the synchronicity. Like, let's dive in. And so that's when I was like exploring your page, and then also what I have like saved as like a song that I hear every morning is Ascension. Like, it feels like this like sunshine song with just like, you know, free to be me. Like, oh man, so that song is definitely on my like morning playlist that I listen to like when I'm getting ready, because I feel like I struggled a lot with just as I was finding my way through like taking on my healing services, but also like in the midst of time, like a few months ago, I was in this place where I was kind of struggling with like trying to be still what my parents wanted, or what, you know, and then also at the same time trying to also ascend and like be what my higher self wants. So that song really did help me, like it still does, like in the mornings where it's just like, instead of waking up with like anxiety or like a bit of depression of like having to like hide myself or like listen to them more, it allowed me to like channel in more of myself and like set that tone that I can, you know, be free to be me, you know? So that was a very powerful song too.
Oh my gosh, that makes my heart melt, because that's literally what I wrote from the space of as well. Is like, you know, now that we conquered this, you know, moment of warrior world, light warrior kind of energy, it's like now it's this freedom on the other side of some of those temptations of trying to fit in or conform. And it's like, when you really activate your light, and then you get to embody it through like fighting for the right to be that way, and fighting against the energy that's trying to dull your light, and you get on the other side, you're like, I don't care anymore. Like, nothing can stop my shine, you know? And that's the ascension, is like that feeling of freedom, that you finally feel so integrated and untouched, unbothered, right? By like anything that's not of that vibration, or that just doesn't understand the vibration you're stepping into, you know?
Of course. It's like being able to let whatever is not serving you just like melt off of you so you can ascend.
And it's a very inner child. That song is a very inner child. I wrote that in the chart too, actually. I think about it. But very inner child, just like very like, you know?
Yes. It feels like sunshine when I listen to that song.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I want to also now get into your latest album, Trap Alchemist. I just first and foremost, I'm like, yes, thank you, because I love like trap and hip hop, but sometimes the songs are just like the lyrics themselves. I'm like, I don't really like. That's not really my vibe, or like I'm not trying to manifest that. So like
100%.
So your album, like with having the trap, like that, the beats and like the way that it flows, it was like, and then your lyrics are just like, oh, thank God, like a nice mesh of like what I really love to like, what I would rather say out loud, you know, and affirm, and then also with this like nice beat in the background with like just this whole vibe. The collides of those two words like coming together is just perfect.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
produced by the best producers in the world, Chris
Oh.
and Teeb, by the way. I mean, I just love
Mm.
Chris and Teeb so much, and not only great producers, but also amazing artists. And that was just such a fun manifestation for me because I heard their Manifestation One album like 2018, right after I released my first album, Spirit Junkie. And my friends were like, this music, like this feels like what you're doing with your music, like you need to meet them. And I was like, cool. So I wrote them on my little like manifestation list of artists to work with one day. And then, 3 years or 4 or 5 years later, I was, in the studio with them. They're playing me some of their songs, and I'm telling them about the Trap Alchemist concept, and they're like, "We got to do it. We want to be a part of it." I was like, "What?" And it was just a beautiful marriage of creativity. And that album was created exactly for the purpose that you're saying. Like, I love trap music, and I cannot continue to sing certain songs that like I just don't resonate with, but I love the beats, and I love to twerk, and I love to like,
Yes.
and I'm like, I
Yeah.
want to be able to still enjoy that, but I want it to be something that I feel confident and good about singing. And it's crazy because I never thought I would ever rap. Like, I just never ever thought that at all. And it just started coming through. Like, I Am was the first verse that came through. And it wasn't even really made for that beat. It was one of my friends was writing a song, and he was a rapper, and we were in the car, and he was writing to this beat in the car, and I just started hearing a verse, and I was like, I'm gonna write this verse down because it's like oozing out of me. Totally not even my song. I was like, this is not my place to even try to get on this song. But I kept that verse. And then more raps came through, more raps. And then Trap Alchemist started speaking to me because, like I said, the energy of the music is always like an entity to me that I channel. So when it starts telling me what it wants to create through me, I'm like, okay, oh, you want to be an album? Oh, we're rapping now. Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And I just went with it. And I moved to Atlanta like halfway through the creation of the project, the album, and which is funny because it's like the trap capital of the world. So it's like Spirit was just working its magic in all
For
sorts
sure.
of album. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes. And I wanted to get into the Money Goddess song. Like,
Yes.
what was the whole, like, what were you channeling in that song?
That song is so special, and it's a song that I continue to build a relationship with. I was, again, I guess I get a lot of my song ideas from driving and dreams.
Yeah.
Driving and dreams are the thing. Because I was sleeping, and I had recently been watching all these like Instagram videos and TikToks about how money is like a feminine energy, and people like kind of breaking that down. And I was like, that's so interesting. That feels so true. And so then I went to sleep, and I had a very lucid dream experience, as I usually do. And then I woke up, and I felt like the spirit of money started speaking to me. And she was like, I am feminine. And not only am I feminine, I'm a goddess. And I really just want people to treat me like a goddess, treat me with respect, with reverence, and know that I want to nurture them. I want to provide for them, but they're not honoring me most of the time the way that I should be honored. And not to worship me, but to more so have reverence and respect, and come correct, and have a good perspective and build a relationship with me, and treat me like they want to be treated. And so I was like, wow, it's so cool. And so then the verses, the hook came through, and then the verses came through right after. I had to get Peachka on it because Peachka is a dear sister of mine, and she just had that voice of like that power of what I felt when the money energy was channeling to me, and the kind of power that that money wanted to receive reverence for. And so she got on it, and she bodied that verse so well, and it's just been so fun.
Yes, that's why I feel like Money Goddess is like something I connect with too, because I'm building my relationship with money again. I felt like for a very long time it was kind of like wonky, a little bit of like, I was never really taught how to like to have a nice relationship with money. I was the
Same. Yeah.
only child. I was like not the only child. Technically, I was from my dad's side, but from my mom, I was the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the only girl. So for me, it was like, oh, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get whatever you want, don't worry about it. And so like college was sort of like that too until eventually I was like, I have to start providing for myself. Started providing for myself, but then money became like, oh, I just want to buy everything the way that I was taught to. So I never really had that beautiful relationship with money. It was always like a bit like out of place of like I had it or I didn't. And so
Mm-hmm.
my mom, she's also an alchemist herself. So
Yeah.
we joined in on this like awakening journey together, and
I
it's
love
so
that.
beautiful. But she also, when she, instead of saying spending money, she calls it circulating. So she's
Ooh, I
always like, she's
love.
like, I can't circulate money today, but we can
Mm-hmm.
probably go next time, or like if we're doing something.
Yeah.
I feel like that song is just definitely very like a powerful mantra to continue to like have. Money is this goddess that is here to bring her love and flourish you, but you have to also respect her and bring her those offerings back as that giving and
Mm-hmm.
receiving.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I always kind of envision it as like money has other plans right now than like what I might plan or want to plan for it.
Yeah.
And then that it's like a co-creation, it's like, okay, it may
Mm-hmm.
not want to go here, but it does want to go somewhere. And so I get to
Yeah.
like tune into how she wants to be spent today, and how she wants to be received. And so it's really, really fun to embody that. And I also like writing that song also stepped me into a deeper relationship with money, which has been so great. So I can relate to you with that. Like I was raised without a lot of like economic wisdom. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's really great to experience that on a spiritual level.
I want to get into, because I just saw that you posted a reel recently on
Yeah.
manifesting. And I feel like this can be
Yes.
a good conversation to dive in with money, because money is
Yes.
always something we're trying to manifest. Like if we don't have
Mm-hmm.
enough of it, we want more of it. So in your reel, in your video, you mentioned like, instead of focusing on things you haven't got yet from your manifestation or that you're
Mm-hmm.
trying to manifest, instead focus on like the manifesting that you're creating now and like what's in front of
Yes,
you. I want to get deeper into that and like
for
how
sure.
you go about manifesting, and especially like in regards to like money or like with that relationship. Just giving clarity on, because I feel like some of us are a bit confused on like the way to manifest or like how that
Totally.
works.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect example, with money with that reel is like when you are manifesting, it's all about your emotions and obviously your intentions too, but your emotions are really the energy in motion. So that's what's going to move that manifestation forward. And
Mm-hmm.
so you want to be in the emotion of what you're wanting to manifest. And so a lot of times, if we're looking to the future of what we're trying to manifest that hasn't come in yet, it can put us in an emotional state that feels insecure or impatient or doubtful or even resentful sometimes, or frustrated or discouraged. And all of that represents kind of that lack energy as well, of
Mm-hmm.
not having it. Sometimes we'll be feeling emotionally desperate, right? And none of those emotions are moving the manifestation forward. It's actually pulling it back or holding it where it's at. It's not moving it forward because it's a heavier, denser energy. So it's kind of keeping us in place or making things go slower. So we want to lighten up the energy by lightening up our mood. And we do that by tapping into the emotions that we know we will feel or that we expect to feel when we get that manifestation. A lot of those emotions will be accomplishment, feeling proud, feeling happy, feeling confident, feeling fulfilled, feeling abundant, right? Grateful. And so in order to tap into those emotions, focusing on what you already have manifested that's here right now is a great way to tap into those emotions. And so, when it comes to money, it's like maybe you're trying to manifest for a new program you want to join that you think is really going to empower you, but you don't maybe have the money in alignment right now. what do you have the money in alignment to? Did you just pay a electric bill that's going to keep your lights on and help your computer keep working and plugged in so that you can continue to do your work that you do to make more money, right? Like that is something you get to be proud of. You get to feel confident that you could pay that bill. You get to feel grateful that you could, because there's so many people in the world that don't have that ability right now. You get to feel happy that you have the lights on and you can put your heater on or whatever it is. Like, it taps you into that energy, or that you bought yourself a coffee, or that you bought yourself a massage, or, you bought yourself a new crystal. Like, these are things that you can feel like, oh, I had enough money to do that. Like, that feels good to have enough money to buy this thing that I want or that I need. And so by having that feeling of being grateful for what you needed that you were able to get, you'll also tapping into the same frequency of what you feel like you need, that you're wanting, you're calling in. Right. And just by doing that, you're magnetizing it.
You can see that, like, yeah, when you are coming into this place of like contentment with what you have, then you allow yourself to receive more. And I feel like that's where we kind of get a little bit blindsided with manifesting, because I do have a friend where she's like, I'm trying to manifest this or this or this. And it's like, okay, but like, what are the steps that you have now? Like, what do you have now that's like going to help you get there, Because
at one point that desire, like whatever it is, the blanket you bought or the crystal you bought or the bill you paid, that was a manifestation 3 weeks ago that you're like, oh, I want this blanket, or I want that crystal, or I want that bill paid. And so it's like, be grateful that your manifestation practice is already working, but so many times when we're focused on what we haven't manifested, we start to think, oh, we don't know how to manifest, or we're not doing it right. But it's like, we are doing it right. You have all these things to prove that you've manifested from 2 weeks ago what you have now, so reaffirming that is huge.
Yeah, it's sort of that poverty consciousness we get trapped in, because I feel like society, or the things we see like on TV, especially during Christmas, it's like, well, we don't have it, like there's always more to get, and that's true, but like there's also like having to be able to like be content with what you have now, and be able to create more with that energy.
So, absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely very inspired and excited by like teaching people how to manifest on these deeper esoteric levels, and understanding the frequency and vibration of things. Like, it's a huge reason why my name is Rissa Vibes. It's like, I understand all the vibrations, all the spectrum, the heavy vibrations and the light vibrations, the positive and the seemingly negative. And I love to help people navigate through all those frequencies and those vibrations.
Yeah. I would love to also just hear more about, like, within your services of, like, you said that you help people connect intuitively to their higher self. What are some like blocks that you tend to see within like your own clients that could be relatable to some of the viewers here?
Yeah, I think the biggest blocks are like fear, doubt, and judgment. People will be afraid to connect because they're like, I don't want to meet a ghost, or I don't want to like have some evil spirit come get me, or I don't know what's going to happen. Like that fear of the unknown, or the fear of a perceived reality that would happen if they do connect. And then, judgment, like this feeling of like, oh, who am I to think that I have these gifts that I, think are so cool that other people have, or judging kind of if it's okay, or if it's taboo to be that woo woo, or to tap in, or to think that you have that power, especially if you're, raised in religious beliefs and where you're kind of taught that only one person, the pastor, has that ability, and you're just like a, mediocre person, which I just don't believe in, Yeah. And so I think that that's a big one. And then doubt, being able to trust your intuition. Like, was that a sign? Is this my intuition? Or am I just making this up? Did this really happen? Did this guide really speak to me? Or is it like completely fabricated? So those are the things I like to work on with people, because oftentimes I help them start small. Like, okay, let's just start with manifesting a parking spot and seeing if you can tune into where that parking spot is, in the parking lot, right? Like which lane are you feeling intuitively drawn to drive down, right? or what are you intuitively drawn to say to a friend, you know, that you haven't spoken to in a while, and then getting these kind of impulses and nudges and then acting on it. First of all, you're telling the universe, like, hey, I'm actually open to receiving these nudges, and I'm actually willing to act on it to see what's there. That is huge, because then the universe is like, oh, okay, you're ready to speak this language. Oh, you want to talk. Oh, you want to connect. Oh, you want to work together. And then the confidence that comes from doing that, having the courage to embody it through action, and then receiving a response that affirms it, you know, the parking spot is there, or, you know, after the second try it's there, versus it's made with taking you 5 tries, or the person you say that thing to is like, oh my gosh, I just had a dream about this, or oh my gosh, I was just talking about how I needed to hear something like this today. Like, those affirmations build the confidence and help to start to annihilate some of those resistances of fear, doubt, and judgment. And then it just builds momentum. And that's the funnest thing, to see people kind of have those aha moments. Like, I just love that. I live for those moments. Yeah.
I also grew up like in a Christian church, and like also in going to a Catholic church as well. So the background of like still seeing that a lot of what my family, their beliefs are very set. For myself, it's also like just tapping into what feels right in that discernment within myself, you know?
Yeah.
So that's something that I feel like it's like a bit of dismantling, to be able to like tap into what is true for you, because everyone has different ways of perceiving things, and being able to find that truth within your higher self and that connection.
Yeah. And one little thing I'll mention too is, like, you know, a lot of the fear that people have around like negative energy or dark entities and stuff, you know, anything like that is a manifestation of your belief system, which then ends up reflecting to you in evidence. And so if you, like, for instance, we know this when we you know, talk bad about ourselves. If we talk bad about ourselves in the mirror, then we're going to start to feel bad about ourselves. And then we may have things that happen because we've now let ourselves go that kind of reflect or reaffirm what we're saying about ourselves. And so we see that. And then we also see it with manifestation. If we believe that we're, you know, a healer, and we believe that we're here to save the world, and we believe that we can manifest anything we want, then we start to see a reflection of that in the universe, affirming it, right? So the universe is always going to double down on our investment. So if we're investing in this idea that there's negative entities that are going to attack you, and that you need to, you know, be afraid of them, then we're going to see things. We're going to have sleep paralysis dreams. We're going to have, you know, eerie feelings at night. We're going to have all of these things. We're going to see more films of horror, you know, movies and stuff. We see it with our phones. Like, if we say something around our phone, we see the ads pop up, right? It's like literally a reflection of how the universe works. And so I always tell people, if you believe that negative entities are going to come get you, then you're probably going to see signs of that, but you're that powerful. So most of the time, these negative energies or entities are actually just personified fear, negative energy that you have built up so strong in your belief system that now they have become these physical responses in the universe. And so, you know, I always tell people, your light is your shield. Like, your light of awareness, your light of your purity of being, and your belief in light and its power to prevail over anything else is what is always going to annihilate any of those energies or belief systems that support it.
Oh, absolutely. I could see that. Yeah. Like, when I first started awakening, I was a bit like, oh shoot, like I was getting like spooked out in every little corner. And then until I was able to know, like, and learn that like whatever was lingering, I'm the one that's physically here with this power. Like, they are in need of me, of my like energy, to be able to like even vibrate at the frequency of me feeling them, you know? It's this idea of like, you know, having to understand your power and your strength of like being able to navigate through the spiritual world.
Yes, for sure. 100%.
I see myself still building my relationship with like witchy side, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
working
So
with
fun.
herbs and working like with different candles. And I just bought a book recently because right now what's been in my vortex is like, this is probably like witch 101, but like it's like the offerings, you know, like giving it to
Yeah.
like your deities or like
Ancestors.
your
Yeah.
ancestors, or you know, even to
Absolutely.
the money goddess. Like
Yes.
it's I am right now building those relationships of like, okay, who are my, like, you know, of course my ancestors, but also like who are my like spirit guides, and like how do I want to continue to give offerings to them or like work
Yes.
with them. So that's been my vortex right now, of just being able to work with offerings and
Yeah.
you know, seeing how that goes. Because even like where I grew up, it was like I didn't really like grow up with offerings, giving offerings to like, you know,
Mm.
to spirit, or you know,
Yeah.
in that way that wasn't really taught to me. So now I'm kind of just like, I don't know, waking up on that aspect of things, of like, okay, like to receive, you have to give the offering to, you know, like to whomever you feel is connected with you and helping you through the spirit world.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know about your, like, how you go about offerings as well with your.
Yeah, yeah. I've gone through many phases. Like I have offered through altar work and like had, very kind of methodical, ritualistic aspects to my altar work. Every full moon, every new moon, every day, offering libations or water or fruits and different things, candle work and things like that. And then I've also had a lot of just really deep spiritual offering practices, because I really believe that when it comes to offerings, it's about just building a relationship with the
Mm,
energy. So
got it.
however you
Yeah.
choose to build a relationship, or however that's fun for you, if it's fun to set up an altar and sit in front of it and offer it things, and know what types of fruits and flowers that goddess Isis likes, or what kind
Mm-hmm.
of things your ancestors used to love, and offering that, then that's definitely something that will help you build a relationship with them, because it's activating that part of you that feels good about building relationship. But if I think about it like it's friends, right? It's like if we have a new friend, it's like how do you usually connect with a new friend? Is one of your love languages a gift giver? Like, do you like to give gifts? Then that might be why you love to do altar work and provide these offerings. But if you're more of a quality time person, then maybe you're just meditating and connecting with that deity, and you're having some quality time with it. You're researching some things to learn about it, and you're developing your relationship that way. Or acts of service. Maybe you're embodying some of the qualities that they represent, and you're serving other people with those qualities. Like, I think the offering is really more about a relationship building, and how you want to use your own natural, organic way of building relationship to do that with them. And as a result, they will respond and build that relationship with you.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that you're putting it in that way, because
Yeah.
I didn't really see it that way. But like, you know, because I am a gift giver at times, but I'm more of this like quality time more than
Yeah, yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So I guess right now it's maybe just giving it a try with the offerings, like giving that
Yes.
a go. But I definitely commune a lot more through meditation with like the altar that I set up, or like if I'm with like goddess Isis, or if
Yes.
I'm with like goddess Bridget or somebody that I'm working with at the
Yes.
time being, then I will like, I'm more of like a meditative, like let me sit and
Love
chat with
that.
you in the
Yeah, and you're
spirit
giving
world.
it your attention, you're giving it your honor, you're giving it your
Mm,
love, so you're still offering something there. And
mm,
sometimes, I've worked with guides where they're like, I really want you to give me this offering, or I really want you to do this candle work. And, that's what a friend would do, right? Like, I love
right.
this friendship we have. And also, like, my love language is kind of like gift giving. Like, I want to receive in this way, or that really
Yeah.
means a lot to me, or whatever. Like, so that kind of communication, just by opening up the communication, you're going to get that clarity.
Yeah.
And it can change at any time, so
Mm.
it's really fun.
Yeah, I'm curious to know also too how you work with the money goddess. Like, do you have an
Yeah.
altar for her, or how do you
I don't
commune?
have an altar for her. I've really just talked to her. Like,
Talk
I
to her?
talked to her like
Okay.
exactly like the the song, it's like, thank you, money. I love you, money.
Uh-huh.
Like
Uh-huh.
anytime I receive money, I'm like, thank you, money. Thank you,
Oh,
bestie. Like, you know what
yes.
I mean? And then anytime
Mm-hmm.
I give it, I'm like, love you, money. Like, go help this person. Like,
Uh,
I'm giving money to the grocery store and I'm like, okay, I'm helping pay these people's, bills, and you
mm-hmm.
go do what you need to do for them. I love you. See you later. And so it's just like kind of building that relationship. And then also a lot of practice with money is like reminding myself that I am also a goddess and I can channel her and I am her in a lot of ways.
Mm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
money is energy channeling through me. It's easy. I'm one with
Yeah.
abundance. All she wants to do is please me. So
Yes.
it's like being able to connect to, like, I am money. Like, I show up in that vibration. Like, I get to give my services. I get to give my love. I get to give my attention. I get to give
Mm,
compliments. I get to give all these things, my performances, my music. So just by me recognizing what I give others that is of value,
yeah.
I'm able to feel myself channeling that essence of goddess abundance, money
Yes.
abundance. And then that just helps me walk in that vibration even more.
Uh,
Yeah.
oh, I love that. I love to
Yeah.
see and feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I literally just talk to her. Like, I'll just be like, hey, like, this is the goal I have so that I can use you for this, and like we can
Mm,
work together. How can we work together? Like,
yeah.
how do you want to come through for this?
Uh,
Like, and sometimes it's like, oh, I want to come through in this way or in that way, or whatever. And this is what I want from you in order for me to come through, right? It's like, oh, you want me to make a program to help people do that's shorter and more accessible for people. That's how you want to come through. Cool. I got you. That's my service to the world and my service to you, or she wants me to write this song for this TV show or whatever. Like, so it's like, okay, like, this is super fun. Like, we get to like come together as besties and be like, how do we want to make this goal happen? Like, I've got my skills, you got your skills. Like, how can we work together?
right. Oh, yeah. I love that you're seeing them in like an actual vessel form that's like there with
Yeah,
you. Yeah. I want to
totally.
also get into just now that we're towards the end of this, like, do you have
Okay.
any other creations in mind of like a new album that possibly might be in the like being seeded into like maybe fruition,
Yeah.
or how are you with your creativity right now?
Yeah, it's so fun that you asked me that because I'm in that process right now, which is always really fun, right after an album where I'm just open again to whatever wants to flow through whenever it wants to flow through. And, Spirit Junkie to Hippie Vixen and Hippie Vixen to Trap Alchemist, there was always like usually like a 3-year gap, and just naturally. And this time it is like no gap. It is like, okay, now we're on to the next. And it's been fun. I went to a songwriters retreat in Nashville a couple months ago and wrote a ton of music with different producers and artists. Some of them were very conscious, some of them were not, and they were just writing whatever was on their heart. And it was cool because it brought me back into this space of knowing that I didn't just have to write music always that is like super conscious and spiritual, that I can
Yeah.
also write from just my human experience.
Uh-huh.
And it was really fun. And I think I always had a little bit of a superstition around that, or an aversion to it, because I was like, well, I don't want to put anything out that's low vibrational because I'm so focused on making sure that everything raises people's vibration. And what spirit kind of showed me on that is that because I've done the work, I will always put out high vibrational things because I am a vessel for that. And so it's always going to go through that filter, even if I'm talking about a very human experience that has nothing about meditation or spirituality in it, but the vibration is still going to reverberate. And, obviously there's still intentionality on like wording and things like that. But like I wrote a song called Question, and it's about like, don't have me question your love, like when we're like in a dating thing and it's like, why are you playing games with me? Like, why are you having me question your love? Like, I could just leave, like, if you don't really like me like that. And there was nothing about meditation or spirituality into it, but I feel like it's such a high vibration song because it really gets to the root of those emotions while also empowering you to like make the choice to walk away from something that might not be a fuck yes. And so lately I've got a lot of songs that I'm going to be releasing from that songwriting camp that are totally different. I've got a country song, I've got this song about love and this R&B song. I've got like a themic pop song that I submitted to some TV shows that might be appearing on some things. And so I'm just going to start releasing like all these singles from that experience that may sound very different than anything I've put out, but feels still very much in alignment. And then I've got a lot of new music that I'm going to be channeling through albums and things like that with other producers and my producers, Chris and Teeb, that I worked with on Trap Alchemist. So there's just a lot of floating projects and singles in the air that are going to just kind of drop in when they're meant to launch. And, letting that happen. And then when the new album that's really like clear comes through, then I'll be focusing on that. But in the meantime, I'm just playing in the spectrum of vibration that I love to play in. So it's super fun.
And when it's ready to be solidified and shared, that's when it'll just like happen on its own time.
Yes. Yeah, lots of collaborations too. Like Shariah Wise and Peachka and I are going to do a Divine Feminine album. We've got the Collective Consciousness album with Chris and Teeb and a whole bunch of other conscious artists that is going to come out. It's kind of a collaborative album. So there's a lot of fun things that are a medicinal. I'm going to do like a medicinal ceremonial album, kind of more like Healers Unite vibe, but for cacao, and honoring the spirit of cacao, because I'm a cacao facilitator and I just love her so much. So that's going to be really fun too. So a lot of cool ideas, just waiting for them to ground in on timing and what they want. So
I love that. Yeah. You say you're a cacao facilitator. Are you like hosting retreats, or how do you, where do you get to practice?
I end up just kind of doing cacao ceremonies for like, I'll just pop up and do it. It's like at a show, if it feels aligned, any kind of ceremonial environment. If I'm doing a ceremony with my soul tribe in the backyard, we'll do a cacao ceremony. I'll do cacao with my tribe, the Affirmation Avengers, all the artists I just named. That's what we call ourselves. And we'll do like a cacao ceremony anytime we're together. And then I also do them in retreats and different events. I do group events, often like past life regression group events, or different kind of channel and chill ceremonies where I channel energy and messages, and we'll do a cacao ceremony for that. So I usually just incorporate it in whatever I'm doing, and I will be getting my retreats going again. I've done a few retreats in the past, and I kind of took a break from them after the whole pandemic thing, but I'll be getting back into that too. So.
Oh, lovely. I'm excited to hear about that. I would love to join in a retreat.
Of course. Yeah. I did my first one in Belize and I did my second one in Peru. And so I'll be doing another one internationally and also nationally. I'll probably do one in Sedona at some point soon too.
Oh, Sedona. Yes. Yeah. I just went recently to the Grand Canyon.
I love the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
It was so magical. I was like, oh my goodness. How did
the desert, it's
Mama Gaia, like how? Let me just know.
Right. She's just so freaking cool. And Sedona and Arizona and just the desert magic is so potent with that Gaia frequency. I love it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rissa Vibes, for being here and having this beautiful conversation. If people want to reach out to you and hear your music and where to find you, would you be able to share all of that good stuff?
Yes, of course. So on Instagram, I'm Rissa Vibes Official. And then I also have my spiritual readings page, which is Readings by Rissa, Rissa. And then for all the streaming platforms for my music, Spotify, Apple Music, all of it is Rissa Vibes, RissaVibes. And I also have a website, www.rissavibes.com, where you can see all of my offerings and spiritual services and book readings and all of the things, find out about my programs and things like that. But definitely tune in. And then I've been on my TikTok journey too. So Rissa Vibes on there as well. I've been putting a lot of energy towards TikTok and just kind of playing around in that realm as well. So all of the good stuff is there too.
Well, thank you, Soul Babes, for listening. And if you would like to listen to more of Essence Podcast or this interview, you can find it on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And I'll see you in the next one.